Have you ever felt drained after interacting with someone, leaving you wondering what went wrong? Imagine if you could identify the subtle signs of malicious behavior before it impacts your life significantly. In today's video, we dive deep into the 12 typical behaviors of malicious people that you need to recognize to protect yourself and maintain healthy relationships. Why should you watch until the end? Understanding these behaviors not only empowers you to set clear boundaries, but also helps you cultivate stronger, more positive connections with those around you. Whether you're navigating personal relationships, professional environments, or everyday interactions, knowing these signs can transform the way you handle toxic individuals. Plus, we'll share practical strategies and expert insights to help you effectively manage and mitigate the influence of malicious people in your life. Stay with us as we uncover these crucial behaviors and equip you with the knowledge to create a safer, more harmonious environment for yourself. Don't let hidden manipulations and negative influences dictate your well-being. Watch the entire video to take control and enhance your personal and professional relationships. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Constant manipulation. Have you ever felt as though someone was silently pulling the strings in your life, steering you in directions you never intended to go? You might find yourself questioning your own decisions, your values, or even your sense of reality. This is the insidious nature of manipulation, a complex web woven so subtly that it can capture even the most perceptive among us. Recognizing manipulation is the first step in defending yourself from those who seek to control you, often for their gain. Imagine playing a game of chess with someone who constantly shifts the pieces in their favor, secretly changing the rules as you play. That's the world of manipulation. Silent, unsettling, and extremely dangerous. Dr. Harry Breaker, renowned author of Who's Pulling Your Strings, defines manipulation as the hidden or indirect exertion of influence over another person to achieve the manipulator's goals. This type of influence is usually disguised as concern, advice, or sometimes even love, making it difficult to detect. Manipulators rarely reveal their intentions outright. They work subtly, blending their tactics into everyday conversations and interactions so seamlessly that they often go unnoticed. And before you know it, you've adapted your behavior, thoughts, and even feelings to align with what they want, not what you want. It's an uncomfortable realization, and once you see it, it's hard to forget. One of the clearest signs of manipulation is emotional guilt. Manipulators are skilled at twisting emotions to make you feel responsible for their happiness, convincing you that if you truly cared about them, you would do what they asked. Have you ever been told something like, "If you loved me, you'd support me in this"? It's a loaded statement, designed to plant doubt in your heart and push you toward compliance out of guilt. This tactic is especially powerful in relationships where love or loyalty are involved because it exploits one of our most fundamental desires, to be loved and accepted. Another classic tactic is gaslighting, making you question your own perceptions and reality. This is a subtle, calculated effort where manipulators challenge your recollection of events or distort facts to make you feel as if you're losing grip on reality. Imagine repeatedly being told, "You're too sensitive," or "That never happened." Over time, this chipping away at your reality makes you doubt your instincts, leaving you vulnerable and dependent on the manipulator's version of events. And then there's victimhood, where manipulators portray themselves as the helpless party in every situation. They turn every conflict into an opportunity to make you feel sorry for them. It's a clever ploy because it taps into your empathy and desire to help. By constantly casting themselves as the victim, they create a psychological barrier that's difficult to cross. Who wants to argue with someone who's suffering, after all? This tactic not only keeps you from questioning their motives, but also positions them as someone you feel responsible for saving. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus offered a timeless piece of wisdom when he said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Manipulators know how to distort our opinions, using our emotions as a canvas to paint a reality that serves them. A recent study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology confirmed what many of us intuitively feel. Those with manipulative tendencies often exhibit high levels of narcissism and Machiavellianism, a combination that breeds a toxic mix of charm and cunning. Imagine dealing with someone who believes they're entitled to control you, while also possessing the skill to make it seem as though they're doing you a favor. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? But not all is lost. Manipulation may be pervasive, but you're not powerless against it. Here are some essential strategies to protect yourself. Set clear boundaries. Don't underestimate the power of a firm no. Manipulators rely on others' reluctance to reject requests, which is why setting clear boundaries can be one of your best defenses. By asserting your needs and limits, you make it much harder for manipulators to sway you. Trust your intuition. If you sense something's wrong, there's a good chance you're picking up on subtle cues. Trust your gut feelings. They're there for a reason and can often reveal truths your conscious mind hasn't fully grasped yet. Seek support and perspective. Sometimes, manipulators succeed by isolating you and making you feel alone in your perspective. Talking to trusted friends or family members can offer a fresh lens on the situation, helping you to see manipulation more clearly. Dr. George Simon, a prominent psychologist, emphasizes that the best defense against manipulation is knowledge and awareness. You're already taking the first step by learning about these tactics and how they operate. It's essential to remember that not everyone who uses manipulative tactics does so with malicious intent. Sometimes, people fall into these patterns unknowingly. But awareness is the key. Once you recognize these behaviors, you can address them head-on. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everything will have forgotten you." Manipulators thrive when we obsess over their actions and motives. But by choosing not to fixate on them, you reclaim your power. Keep your eyes open, protect your peace, and let manipulators drift out of your life without giving them the emotional energy they crave. Remember, your life is your own, and no one has the right to control your path but you. 2. The art of never apologizing. Have you ever known someone who, no matter how glaringly obvious their mistake, simply can't bring themselves to utter the words, "I'm sorry"? The second warning sign in identifying problematic personalities is a refusal to apologize, a fascinating and troubling behavior that's far more common than we'd like to believe. Think of life as a giant game of Monopoly. We all mess up and occasionally land on go to jail. Yet, some players seem to carry a perpetual get-out-of-jail-free card, allowing them to sidestep responsibility and consequences effortlessly. These are the masters of never apologizing, and their behavior speaks volumes. According to Dr. Robert Enright, a pioneer in the study of forgiveness, the inability to apologize often stems from a fragile ego and a profound fear of vulnerability. These people have built emotional armor around themselves so thick that acknowledging their faults feels like an attack on their very identity. Admitting they were wrong means exposing themselves, even just a little, and for them, that's a terrifying thought. Their armor is an illusion of infallibility, meant to protect them from feelings of inadequacy or shame. But what's truly disheartening is how often this mindset damages relationships, creating walls instead of bridges. Stoic philosophy, however, offers a wise counter to this behavior. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, when someone refuses to apologize, it's a lesson for us, not an invitation to mirror their behavior. If someone in your life never apologizes, the best response isn't to fight back or harden yourself in the same way. Instead, recognize the limitations of their emotional world and remember that compassion and self-awareness are true signs of strength. So, how do you spot these apology-averse individuals? Here are some telltale signs. They always have an excuse. Instead of owning up to their actions, they always have a quick reason why it wasn't their fault. "I was too busy," or "I didn't mean it that way." The goal is to dodge responsibility without explicitly denying it. They shift the blame. Masters of deflection, these individuals are quick to turn the spotlight elsewhere. If something went wrong, it's never about them. It's about someone else's mistakes or unforeseen circumstances they couldn't possibly control. They minimize the impact. When caught in a mistake, they downplay the consequences, making it seem as if their actions were trivial. "It's not that big of a deal" becomes a go-to phrase, dismissing the hurt they may have caused. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with narcissistic traits are significantly less likely to offer sincere apologies. For them, an apology is perceived as a loss, a chink in their armor that's simply intolerable. Apologies are humbling, and that humility feels threatening to someone who's deeply invested in their superiority. If you find yourself dealing with a non-apologizer, or perhaps even recognize these traits in yourself, don't lose hope. There are ways to navigate this difficult terrain. Practice empathy. While it can be challenging, try to understand that the person's resistance to apologize is rooted in their insecurities. They may feel that any admission of wrongdoing makes them less valuable or exposes weaknesses they can't bear to face. Set clear boundaries. Just because someone refuses to apologize doesn't mean you have to tolerate behavior that crosses the line. Gently but firmly communicate that their actions have consequences, and let them know you value sincerity and accountability. Reflect on your responses. If you're ever on the verge of refusing to apologize, ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? An apology doesn't mean defeat. It's a step toward healing and deeper connections. True strength lies in vulnerability, not in an unwavering need to be right. Relationships thrive when both parties are willing to own up to mistakes, big or small, and take responsibility for their actions. So, if you find those two small words, "I'm sorry," lodged in your throat, think about what they could unlock. Imagine the bridges they could build, the pain they could ease, and the misunderstandings they could dissolve. Apologizing doesn't just repair relationships. It shows respect for others' feelings and reminds us that we're human. As we prepare to explore the next sign, let's hold on to this truth. Life isn't a battlefield, and relationships aren't games to be won. A heartfelt apology is sometimes the most powerful, courageous act we can offer, reminding us of our shared humanity. 3. Lack of empathy. Have you ever met someone who seems utterly incapable of feeling what others feel? Someone whose responses are cold, detached, and indifferent? This brings us to the third red flag on our bad people radar, a lack of empathy. When someone lacks empathy, it's as though an invisible wall surrounds them, separating them from the emotions and experiences of others. Imagine living in a world where no one could understand your pain, joy, or sorrow, a place where your emotions went unseen and unacknowledged. For individuals who lack empathy, this disconnected existence is their everyday reality. Terrifying, isn't it? Psychologist Daniel Goleman defines empathy as the ability to tune in emotionally to the feelings of others, allowing us to understand and share their experiences. Empathy is the glue of human relationships, transforming interactions into meaningful connections. Without it, relationships become empty, like a lifeless shell, cold, transactional, and ultimately unfulfilling. Empathy is not just a nice-to-have trait. It's essential for authentic relationships. So, how can you identify someone who seems to have missed out on this crucial aspect of humanity? Here are some signs that you may be dealing with an empathy-deficient individual. Indifference to others' suffering. When someone shows little to no reaction to the pain or hardship of others, it's a telling sign. While most people respond with a concern or a desire to help, these individuals simply brush it off, acting as though others' difficulties are irrelevant. Inability to see things from another's perspective. Empathy enables us to step into someone else's shoes and understand their point of view. But those who lack empathy often view the world solely from their perspective, dismissing others' experiences as trivial or misguided. Insensitive remarks without realization. People lacking empathy often make comments that feel like a punch to the gut, not because they intend to hurt, but because they genuinely cannot grasp why their words would be painful. A study from the University of Michigan reveals that empathy among college students has plummeted by 40% over the past 30 years. This steep decline in empathy isn't just a personal issue, it's a cultural one. We are increasingly living in a society where stone hearts are more common, where emotional disconnection has become the norm. It's disheartening, yet there's hope. Empathy isn't static. Research shows it can be nurtured and cultivated through intentional practices, such as active listening and trying to see the world from someone else's perspective. So, what can you do when faced with a person who seems to have the heart of an iceberg? Don't take it personally. Remember that their inability to empathize is about them, not you. Their lack of empathy reflects their limitations, not their worth or the value of their emotions. Adjust your expectations. Don't expect a sudden change. Empathy is a skill that requires time, patience, and effort to develop. While they may be capable of growth, it won't happen overnight, so temper your hopes. Lead by example. Sometimes, demonstrating empathy can inspire others to follow suit. By showing compassion, you can plant seeds of change that may encourage them to open up, even just a little. Even those of us who typically show empathy have days when it's harder to connect with others' feelings. The key is to recognize these moments and make a conscious effort to improve. As the Dalai Lama beautifully said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Empathy isn't just for others. It nourishes our souls as well, enriching our lives with deeper connections and shared understanding. Here's a small exercise to try. The next time you encounter someone who frustrates or annoys you, pause and imagine what they might be dealing with in their own life. Maybe they're carrying unseen burdens or facing challenges that affect how they interact with the world. You may be surprised at how this shift in perspective opens your heart a little wider, allowing compassion to soften your reaction. After all, the more we understand, the more connected we become. And isn't that what being human is truly about? 4. Constant creation of conflicts. Let's delve into the fourth red flag on our radar for identifying toxic people: the relentless creation of conflicts. Have you ever felt like you're living in the middle of a constant storm, where peace is rare, and conflicts erupt as if on cue? These individuals are the directors of an endless drama, orchestrating conflicts with the finesse of a fireworks display on a quiet evening. To them, discord is fuel, sometimes for entertainment, other times as a strategic tool to divert attention from their shortcomings or insecurities. It's as though they have an internal radar that detects harmony and an urgent compulsion to disrupt it. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Psychologist Dr. John Gottman, renowned for his research on relationships, describes this behavior as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in interpersonal relationships: contempt. This behavior goes beyond simple arguing. It's a form of conflict rooted in disrespect and a need to tear others down. Living around someone like this is like inhabiting a house where the walls perpetually tremble, and stability is a foreign concept. The environment becomes toxic, with every interaction tinged with tension and unease. It's exhausting, like walking on eggshells every day, wondering when the next storm will hit. Ryan Holiday, in his book The Obstacle is the Way, reminds us that calm is contagious. Yet, the unfortunate reality is that chaos is also contagious, and people who thrive on conflict spread this chaos like a virus, infecting every relationship and interaction around them. Their constant creation of turmoil becomes a drain on everyone's energy, affecting not only the people they target but anyone who has the misfortune of being within their orbit. These individuals thrive on the reactions they provoke. Conflict is their way of feeling alive, relevant, and powerful. How can you spot someone who lives to create conflict? Here are some telltale signs. They instigate drama out of thin air. These individuals have a knack for taking even the smallest issues and inflating them into full-blown arguments. It's as if they're constantly on the hunt for reasons to start a fight, and peace feels uncomfortable to them. They redirect blame to fuel tension, Rather than accept responsibility, they twist the narrative, placing blame on others to stir emotions. Their goal isn't resolution but escalation, as they seem to feed on the emotional chaos they generate. They show disdain for peaceful solutions. While most people seek harmony, these conflict creators dismiss it, finding compromise and understanding pointless or even irritating. They are, in a sense, allergic to peace and thrive instead on division. The atmosphere they create is tense and uneasy, like waiting for a bomb to go off. It's emotionally draining to be around someone who pulls others into a constant vortex of negativity. Yet, there are ways to protect yourself from being drawn into their conflict-ridden world. Don't feed the drama. Remember, it takes two to tango in any argument. Choosing not to engage denies them the fuel they crave. This approach, though challenging, is empowering. It frees you from their web and preserves your peace. Practice Stoic indifference. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, choose not to be harmed, and you won't be. Refuse to take their bait, and adopt a mindset of detachment. Their chaos doesn't have to become your chaos. Seek out allies of peace. Surround yourself with individuals who value calm and respect. Cultivating a support system helps buffer you against the effects of these chaos creators, providing a sanctuary of stability and positivity. It's essential to recognize these conflict artists for what they are, without letting their disruptive energy penetrate your world. As Carl Jung once said, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. Acknowledge that such individuals exist, but don't allow their internal turmoil to spill into your reality. By identifying their tactics and staying grounded in your peace, you can protect yourself from the emotional turbulence they bring. After all, calm isn't just contagious. It's a choice, your choice. 5. Constant lying. Imagine, for a moment, that you're building a house. Each brick represents a truth, a shared experience, a moment of trust between you and another person. Brick by brick, you construct something meaningful, something solid. But what would happen if, one by one, someone started replacing those bricks with balloons painted to look like bricks? They might look like bricks from a distance, but they're hollow, weightless, and, ultimately, unreliable. This is the nature of lies. They may seem harmless, even convenient at times, but they are nothing more than fragile imitations of truth. Over time, they undermine the very foundation of any relationship, and eventually, everything comes crashing down. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, understood the importance of truthfulness, famously stating, "Honesty is an essential virtue that upholds the foundations of solid and healthy relationships." Can you imagine Seneca at a family gathering where everyone is lying about trivial things like who ate the last piece of cake? He would likely shake his head in dismay, recognizing the long-term damage even small lies can do. Lying isn't just a bad habit, it's a dangerous sign, a crack in the structure of trust that can deepen over time. Lies can vary in size, from tiny white lies to elaborate deceptions that seem straight out of a spy movie. But the issue with lying is that, eventually, it becomes the language of the liar. Soon, they're living in a world of their own making, speaking a dialect of half-truths and fabrications that leaves others bewildered and hurt. Why would anyone choose to live in such a web of deception? People lie for a variety of reasons. To manipulate situations, to hide behavior, or sometimes simply because they've lost touch with honesty altogether. It's as though they've misplaced the instruction manual for truth and are now winging it, inventing realities on the fly. But how can we identify these individuals before the weight of their lies collapses in the relationship? Here are some clues to spotting a compulsive liar. Inconsistencies in their stories. Liars often struggle to keep their stories straight. If details change or stories evolve, it's a red flag that they might be fabricating elements or inventing stories as they go. Avoiding eye contact. Although this isn't a universal rule, many people find it uncomfortable to maintain eye contact when lying. It's as if their eyes give away the truth they're trying to hide. Changes in body language. Physical signs like touching their nose, rubbing their neck, or crossing their arms can signal discomfort. Subconsciously, Their body knows the lie is at odds with reality, and this tension often manifests in subtle gestures. Evasive answers. When you ask direct questions, they may sidestep, change the subject, or give ambiguous answers. This evasion is a way of protecting their story from scrutiny. Difficulty telling the story backward. A fascinating trick to catch a liar is to ask them to recount their story in reverse. Most people find it challenging to lie backward because the narrative lacks the structure of truth and was fabricated on the spot. But what can you do when you realize you're dealing with someone who constantly lies? First, start by trusting your intuition. If someone's stories don't add up, if you feel like something's off, or if you notice that they're consistently inconsistent, pay attention. It's not about becoming a detective. It's about trusting yourself and recognizing when someone isn't being straightforward. Next, be mindful of your commitment to honesty. Cultivating truthfulness in yourself isn't just for your peace of mind. It sets an example. You become a solid, reliable presence in others' lives, a brick in the wall of truth that others can rely on. Remember, recognizing someone's constant lying isn't about casting judgment. It's about protecting your emotional well-being. Think of it as carrying an umbrella in a storm. You may not be able to stop the rain, but you can shield yourself from getting soaked by the fallout of their dishonesty. Seek relationships built on mutual respect, integrity, and honesty. After all, a home constructed of solid bricks is far more enduring than one built on hollow illusions. 6. Exaggerated reactions. Imagine spending time with someone who erupts in an over-the-top reaction at the slightest hint of criticism or disagreement. It's as if a red warning light is flashing, signaling something deeply amiss. Exaggerated reactions are the sixth warning sign when it comes to spotting potentially problematic personalities. Picture a pressure cooker on the verge of exploding. This is what being around someone who reacts disproportionately can feel like. One small criticism or contradictory view, and suddenly you're caught in the middle of an emotional storm. Does this sound familiar? Why do some people react so strongly? The answer often lies in their inner world. These intense outbursts usually stem from deep-seated insecurities and fragile self-esteem. To them, any form of criticism, no matter how gentle or well-intentioned, feels like a direct attack on their identity. For individuals with healthy self-esteem, constructive criticism serves as an opportunity for growth. But for those with a fragile sense of self, it feels like an assault, triggering a defensive reaction that borders on panic. When someone can't handle even the mildest criticism, it's a sign they may be trapped in a loop of denial and defensiveness, unable to confront their shortcomings or accept external perspectives. A study by the University of Michigan revealed that individuals who consistently overreact to criticism tend to have lower levels of emotional well-being and more strained, conflict-ridden relationships. This finding underscores just how disruptive this behavior can be, not only for them but also for those around them. When a person's identity is so fragile that they can't tolerate criticism, it creates a toxic environment where open communication is impossible, and those around them are left walking on eggshells to avoid triggering another outburst. Relationships thrive on trust, mutual respect, and the willingness to accept constructive feedback. If someone's exaggerated reactions prevent these things, it's a clear sign of emotional immaturity and an unwillingness to engage in genuine self-reflection. So, how can you identify someone who tends to react disproportionately to criticism? Here are a few key indicators. Overblown reactions to minor criticism. A mild comment or constructive feedback can trigger an extreme reaction as if you've committed a major offense. Their response is disproportionate to the situation, often leading to an escalation of conflict rather than resolution. Shutting down or walking away. In some cases, exaggerated reactions don't manifest as explosions but as complete shutdowns. They may cut off communication, walk out, or resort to silent treatment, making it impossible to address the issue openly. Frequent blaming and defensiveness. People who react strongly to criticism tend to avoid accountability by blaming others. They see every critique as a personal attack and react by deflecting or pointing fingers to protect their ego. Emotional outbursts and meltdowns. Some may cry, shout, or display a visible loss of control in reaction to feedback. These outbursts serve as a way to deflect the criticism by drawing attention away from the feedback itself, shifting the topic to their achievements. When confronted with criticism, some individuals might immediately pivot the conversation to their strengths or accomplishments as a way to distract from the issue, signaling an insecurity around perceived flaws. If you find yourself dealing with someone who reacts with intense emotion to even the gentlest feedback, it's essential to set clear boundaries. Protecting your emotional well-being becomes paramount, as constant exposure to exaggerated reactions can be mentally and emotionally exhausting. Boundaries create a space where you can express yourself without fear of backlash, and they encourage the other person to manage their responses more responsibly. In any healthy relationship, the ability to give and receive constructive feedback is essential for growth and trust. Exaggerated reactions can suffocate open communication, leaving no room for honesty or authenticity. While you can't control someone else's reaction, you can choose how to respond. Practice calmness, stand firm in your boundaries, and, above all, remember that someone else's inability to accept criticism isn't a reflection of your worth. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As challenging as it is to handle these situations, knowing when to step back and protect your peace is invaluable. By recognizing exaggerated reactions for what they are, signals of unresolved inner conflict, you take an important step toward healthier, more balanced interactions. 7. Protagonist syndrome. Have you ever encountered someone who seems utterly convinced that the world revolves around them? Welcome to the intriguing, and sometimes infuriating, realm of protagonist syndrome. This phenomenon, closely related to narcissism, is more prevalent than you might think. Picture life as a grand theatrical production, where the individual with protagonist syndrome sees themselves as the main character, while everyone else is relegated to the roles of supporting actors or mere extras in their epic narrative. Sounds exciting, right? Not so much if you're one of those sideline figures, constantly overshadowed by someone who believes their story is the only one that matters. From a psychological perspective, narcissism is more complex than just a love for oneself. It's an all-consuming addiction to feeling special and superior. Dr. C. Mallon, a Harvard psychologist, articulates this idea well, suggesting that individuals with protagonist syndrome possess an insatiable hunger for admiration and attention. They thrive on validation, seeking constant reinforcement of their perceived uniqueness. History is peppered with individuals who could easily have been diagnosed with this syndrome. Take Napoleon Bonaparte, for instance, the man who crowned himself Emperor of France. Just think about the audacity and confidence required for such an act. Or consider Louis XIV, who famously declared, "I am the state," encapsulating the belief that he was the center of everything. These historical figures didn't struggle with low self-esteem. Rather, they embodied the essence of protagonist syndrome. But how do you navigate life with someone who has this tendency to monopolize attention and affection? Here are some strategies to consider. Set clear boundaries. People with protagonist syndrome often overstep personal boundaries, invading your emotional and physical space without a second thought. Establishing firm boundaries is crucial. Don't hesitate to assert your needs and preferences. A confident no can protect your well-being and ensure your space is respected. Avoid feeding their ego. While it's okay to offer the occasional compliment, be wary of excessive flattery. Individuals with protagonist syndrome often thrive on admiration, and if you become a source of constant validation, you might find yourself losing your sense of self. Remember that compliments should be genuine, not obligatory. Seek common ground. Even those with pronounced egocentrism can forge meaningful connections if they focus on shared interests. Engaging them in discussions about topics that excite both of you can help shift the focus away from their need for attention, creating a more balanced interaction. It's essential to recognize that changing someone with protagonist syndrome is unlikely. Spoiler alert, you probably can't. Instead, aim to navigate their turbulent waters without sinking. The interesting part of this dynamic is that we all possess a bit of the protagonist within us. Yes, even you. The next time you catch yourself thinking you're the center of the universe, take a moment to breathe and reflect. Yes, you're a star, but remember that you shine in a galaxy brimming with other stars. So, when you find yourself sharing the stage of life with someone who desperately craves the spotlight, take a deep breath, smile, and remind yourself that they may believe it's their show, but you hold the power to choose your role in it. Embrace the notion that being an extra has its advantages. After all, you don't have to memorize as many lines. You can enjoy the performance without the pressure of being the star. In this shared human experience, every role is significant, and sometimes the quietest characters leave the most lasting impressions. 8. The art of taking advantage of others. Have you ever had the unsettling feeling that someone only reaches out to you when they need something? Welcome to the art of taking advantage of others. Not to practice this skill, but to detect it and learn how to defend ourselves. Picture life as an intricate game of chess. Opportunists are those players who are always on the lookout to sacrifice their pawns, that's you, to further their own game. The good news? Today, we're going to transform you into a powerful bishop, or, even better, a queen who can see through their cunning moves and navigate the board with wisdom and strategy. Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely stated, "He who takes advantage of another's misfortune is not far from desiring it." This insight rings true in many social interactions. Opportunists possess a radar finely tuned to detect vulnerabilities, and they don't hesitate to exploit them for their gain. You know the type. Someone who only calls when they need a favor or suddenly appears in your life when it's convenient for them. It's a frustrating dynamic that leaves you feeling used and drained. However, not everything in the realm of opportunism is black and white. We've all found ourselves slipping into opportunistic behaviors from time to time, often without realizing it. The key differentiator is intention and frequency. It's one thing to ask for help occasionally out of genuine need, and it's quite another to approach every interaction with a hidden agenda. The difference lies in the patterns of behavior over time and the motivations behind those requests. So how can you protect yourself from these emotional vampires without retreating into solitude? Here are some effective strategies. Value your time and energy. Understand that your time is precious. You don't have to play the role of everyone's lifeguard. Establishing boundaries around your availability ensures that you're not constantly at the beck and call of those who only see you as a means to an end. Practice reciprocity. Healthy relationships are built on give and take. If you notice someone only takes and never gives, it's time to rethink the relationship. Genuine connections involve mutual support and understanding. Reflect on whether your interactions are balanced or if they lean heavily in one direction. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Build a circle of friends who value peace, respect, and reciprocity as much as you do. These are the people who uplift you, offer their support without hidden motives, and enrich your life in meaningful ways. Trust your instincts. If something feels off in your interactions with someone, don't ignore that feeling. Your intuition is a powerful tool for identifying potential opportunists. Pay attention to how interactions make you feel. If you often feel drained or manipulated, it might be time to reevaluate that relationship. Communicate openly. If you feel comfortable, address your concerns with the individual in question. Sometimes, a simple conversation can reveal their true intentions and clarify misunderstandings. However, be prepared for defensive responses. Opportunists may not take kindly to being called out. Identifying someone who constantly takes advantage of you is not about casting judgment. It's about protecting yourself. Think of it as carrying an umbrella on a rainy day. You may not be able to stop the rain, but you can certainly shield yourself from getting soaked. The goal is to foster relationships that are mutually beneficial and nourishing, allowing you to flourish without the weight of emotional exploitation. In conclusion, while it's essential to remain open-hearted and generous, it's equally vital to be discerning about who you allow into your inner circle. By recognizing the signs of opportunism and taking proactive steps to safeguard your emotional well-being, You can navigate the complexities of relationships with grace and wisdom. Embrace your role as the queen of your own life's chessboard, making moves that empower you and enrich your connections with others. After all, you deserve relationships built on trust, respect, and genuine support. 9. Constant lack of respect for boundaries. Have you ever felt like your personal boundaries are respected as little as a red light by an impatient driver? This brings us to a crucial sign in our bad people detector: the constant lack of respect for boundaries. Imagine for a moment that your personal space is like your cherished garden, a sanctuary where you cultivate peace and tranquility. Now, picture someone treating it like their personal playground, trampling over your flowers without so much as a second thought. Frustrating, isn't it? This is the reality when someone persistently ignores your boundaries, leaving you feeling violated and disrespected. Famous psychologist Carl Rogers eloquently stated, "The only path worth taking is the one that leads to being oneself." But how can we truly be ourselves if someone is continuously invading our space and undermining our sense of self? Malicious individuals often perceive boundaries as mere obstacles to overcome rather than essential lines that define respect and personal autonomy. They may invade your privacy, dismiss your requests for space, or engage in behaviors you've communicated as unacceptable. It's as if they possess a PhD in ignoring social cues and disregarding the basic principles of respect. Understanding the dynamics of boundary violations is critical. Some people are so wrapped up in their own needs and desires that they fail to recognize the importance of respecting others' limits. They may not do so out of malice, but rather from a lack of awareness or empathy. However, this doesn't excuse their behavior. You have every right to defend your boundaries and protect your emotional space. The key is to take proactive steps to reinforce your limits and ensure your garden remains untrodden. Here are some effective strategies for dealing with boundary invaders. Be clear and direct. When setting boundaries, clarity is crucial. Don't leave room for interpretation. Clearly articulate your needs and expectations. Use simple, straightforward language that leaves no ambiguity. For example, instead of saying, "I'd appreciate it if you could give me some space," try stating, "I need some time alone right now. Please respect that." Be consistent. Consistency is essential when enforcing your boundaries. If you've given once, it's akin to inviting a vampire into your home. Once inside, it's incredibly challenging to remove them. Stand firm in your decisions and maintain your boundaries even if it's uncomfortable. Your resolve will communicate to others that you take your boundaries seriously. Practice self-care. Remember that while you cannot control others' actions, you have full control over your responses. Prioritize self-care to reinforce your emotional health and resilience. As psychologist Henry Cloud wisely points out, boundaries define who we are and who we are not. By nurturing yourself and respecting your boundaries, you reinforce their significance in your life. Utilize assertive communication. When someone oversteps your boundaries, respond assertively but calmly. Use I statements to express your feelings without placing blame. For example, "I feel overwhelmed when you do that. I need you to stop." This approach encourages understanding while maintaining your dignity. Surround yourself with supportive people. Build relationships with individuals who respect your boundaries and appreciate your need for personal space. Healthy connections can help reinforce your sense of self-worth and make it easier to maintain your boundaries in the face of challenges. So, the next time someone tries to trample over your garden, gently remind them that your flowers are not for stepping on. Respect is a two-way street, and it's crucial to cultivate relationships that honor your boundaries as much as you honor theirs. By taking these steps, you empower yourself to reclaim your space and assert your needs, ensuring that your garden flourishes without unwanted intrusions. Remember, your personal space is sacred, and you have every right to protect it with confidence and grace. 10. Constant criticism. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have a PhD in criticizing others? Hold on tight, because this is our next warning sign: constant criticism. This toxic habit can be more damaging than most people realize. Imagine, for a moment, being surrounded by individuals who focus solely on your flaws, highlighting every little mistake and overlooking your achievements. How would that make you feel? Probably not very good. More like walking through a minefield, constantly on edge and doubting yourself. Psychologist John Gottman, a renowned expert on relationships, found that in healthy dynamics, the ratio of positive to negative interactions should be at least 5-to-1. This means for every criticism, there should ideally be 5 affirmations or positive interactions to maintain emotional balance and well-being. When criticism overshadows the positive, emotional health begins to suffer significantly. Throughout my life, I've encountered classmates and acquaintances who seemed like authentic professional critics, always quick to point out what was wrong rather than what was right. Recognizing this detrimental pattern, I made the conscious decision to distance myself from them. And you know what? It turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. But be cautious. Not all criticism is created equal. It's essential not to confuse constant criticism with constructive feedback. The difference lies in intention and frequency. Constructive criticism is aimed at helping you improve. It's offered in the spirit of support and growth. In contrast, constant criticism often aims to hurt, control, or belittle. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely noted, choose someone whose way of living, as well as their words and even their face, which is the mirror of the soul, you like. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift and encourage you fosters an environment where you can thrive and grow. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology emphasizes the physical consequences of constant negativity. Exposure to persistent criticism doesn't just affect our mental state, it can impact our overall physical health as well. Chronic stress from negative interactions can lead to a host of health issues, reminding us that our emotional well-being is intricately connected to our physical state. So, it's crucial to be aware of the influences we allow into our lives. Your mood is not the only thing at stake. If you find yourself caught in a cycle of constant criticism, what can you do to break free? Here are some strategies to help you navigate these turbulent waters. Assert yourself. Sometimes, a simple "I appreciate your opinion, but I didn't ask for it" can work wonders. This statement communicates that while you value their input, it's unnecessary and unwanted. Setting boundaries is a crucial first step in reclaiming your emotional space. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Practice empathy. Understand that those who criticize the most may be struggling with their issues. Often, critics project their insecurities onto others as a way of coping with their inner turmoil. Practicing empathy can help you recognize that their behavior is less about you and more about their struggles. Surround yourself with positivity. Seek out individuals who inspire and uplift you, those who make you feel good about yourself. Positive influences can counterbalance the effects of negativity and help you cultivate a more supportive environment. Building a network of encouraging friends and mentors can transform your outlook and enhance your emotional resilience. Reflect on your interactions. Take stock of your relationships and the impact they have on your mental and emotional health. Are there recurring patterns of negativity? If so, consider whether these connections are worth maintaining. It's essential to prioritize relationships that nourish your soul rather than drain your spirit. Limit exposure. If you can't eliminate negative influences from your life, consider limiting your exposure to them. This might mean engaging less frequently with critical individuals, or choosing to interact only in specific contexts where their criticism is less likely to surface. 11. Lack of responsibility. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have an excuse for everything? Imagine playing the game of life, where every time you land on a bad square, instead of taking accountability and moving forward, you blame the board or even the dog that walked by. This is precisely how people who evade responsibility operate. A lack of responsibility is like an artist's escape act. These individuals can slip out of any uncomfortable situation faster than a magician disappearing in a cloud of smoke. They always seem to have a ready excuse, as if they possess an automatic justification generator in their brain, churning out reasons for their failures at lightning speed. But why is this attitude so dangerous? Picture this. You're building a house with someone who can never admit to having driven a crooked nail. Eventually, you'll end up with a shaky structure, filled with flaws and, undoubtedly, a good dose of frustration. This lack of responsibility doesn't just impact the person evading it. It ripples outward, affecting everyone around them. It's like a virus that spreads through relationships, fostering an environment of distrust and resentment that can poison connections over time. Those around them may feel compelled to pick up the slack, leading to burnout, dissatisfaction, and conflict. So, how can you identify someone who consistently evades responsibility? Here are some key indicators. They always have a ready excuse. Whether it's traffic, illness, or bad weather, they seem to have an endless supply of reasons for why things didn't go as planned. Instead of owning their mistakes, they deflect with an excuse that places the blame elsewhere. They blame others for their mistakes. Accountability is a foreign concept to them. If something goes wrong, you can bet they'll find someone else to blame, be it a colleague, a friend, or even external circumstances, never acknowledging their role in the situation. They constantly victimize themselves. These individuals often portray themselves as a perpetual victim, claiming that life is unfair and that they are always being wronged. This mindset not only absolves them of responsibility but also garners sympathy from others. They change the subject when asked to account for their actions. When confronted about their behavior, they often shift the conversation to avoid accountability. Instead of addressing the issue at hand, they deflect, change the topic, or respond with unrelated anecdotes. If you recognize these patterns in someone you know, you might be dealing with a professional responsibility evader. However, it's important to remember that this behavior isn't immutable. If you've realized that you occasionally slip into some of these habits, congratulations. Recognition is the first step toward change. We all make mistakes. It's part of being human. What truly matters is how we respond to those mistakes. Taking responsibility is like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The next time you feel tempted to blame external factors for a setback, take a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect. Ask yourself, what can I do differently next time? This simple shift in mindset can lead to profound changes in how you navigate challenges and strengthen your relationships. Ultimately, fostering a culture of accountability within ourselves and our circles creates a more supportive and resilient environment. By recognizing and confronting a lack of responsibility, whether in ourselves or others, we pave the way for healthier, more honest relationships. Embrace the power of accountability and watch as it transforms not only your life but the lives of those around you. Remember, responsibility is not a burden. It's a pathway to growth, understanding, and authentic connection. 12. The pursuit of revenge or punishment. Have you ever encountered someone who can't let go of even the slightest offense? Today, we delve into the final sign on our bad people detector. The constant pursuit of revenge or punishment. Imagine a person who clings to a grudge as if it were their most treasured possession. For them, past slights become an emotional anchor, weighing them down and clouding their judgment. These individuals struggle immensely with handling criticism or rejection. Instead of accepting feedback or respecting others' choices, they embark on a mission of retaliation that could rival any action movie plot. But be cautious. This behavior isn't always as overt as a Hollywood villain. It can manifest in more insidious ways, such as spreading rumors, sabotaging opportunities, or manipulating relationships. It's as if they possess a radar for detecting offenses and an arsenal of negative responses just waiting to be unleashed. What's particularly curious is that numerous studies have shown that vengeful individuals often experience high levels of stress and significantly lower emotional well-being. Engaging in revenge is like drinking poison and expecting it to harm someone else. This destructive mindset not only affects their mental health but also ripples out, impacting everyone around them. Holding on to grudges creates a toxic environment, filled with tension and distrust, ultimately leading to isolation and unhappiness. It's a paradox. The more they seek to hurt others, the more they harm themselves. How can you navigate relationships with those who are consumed by the desire for revenge? Here are some strategies to consider. Stay calm. When faced with someone fixated on retaliation, maintaining your composure is crucial. Their emotional volatility can draw you into a cycle of conflict, but by staying calm, you can prevent the situation from escalating. Responding with anger or defensiveness only fuels their need for drama. Set firm boundaries. Protect yourself by establishing clear boundaries. Let them know that while you acknowledge their feelings, you will not engage in negative behavior or retaliatory actions. Standing firm in your convictions can deter them from attempting to provoke you further. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 5 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Don't feed the conflict. Avoid engaging in their vendetta or playing into their desire for revenge. Instead, redirect conversations towards constructive topics or disengage from discussions that spiral into negativity. By not participating, you take away their power. Practice empathy. Understand that their behavior often stems from unresolved pain or insecurity. While this doesn't excuse their actions, recognizing their struggles can help you approach the situation with compassion rather than resentment. Seek support. Surround yourself with positive influences who uplift you and encourage healthy relationships. If you find yourself entangled with someone who thrives on revenge, it's vital to have a support network to help you maintain your emotional well-being. Focus on your growth. Redirect your energy towards personal growth and self-improvement. Engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment can help counteract the negativity that comes from interacting with vengeful individuals. Now that you are aware of these signs and behaviors, the power is in your hands. Knowledge is your strongest ally in protecting yourself and cultivating healthier, more positive relationships. Remember, their relentless pursuit of revenge speaks volumes about their internal struggles, not their worth. By choosing not to engage with their negativity, you free yourself from their toxic grasp and open the door to healthier connections built on respect and understanding. Ultimately, prioritizing your emotional well-being allows you to thrive, creating a life where grudges have no place and forgiveness can flourish. As we wrap up this insightful journey through the various signs of toxic behavior, I hope you've gained valuable knowledge about the traits that can undermine our relationships and well-being. Remember, recognizing these behaviors is the first step toward creating healthier interactions in your life. So, what have you learned so far? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please take a moment to comment below with one thing you've learned from this video that you plan to practice in your own life. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.